The 2-year reign of a respected champion has come to an end. And now 2 new teams vie for the NBA title. Teams that have traveled vastly different paths in pursuit of this prize. For 3 memorable years, red and black were the colors of royalty in the NBA. One man was largely responsible for this exquisite run of sustained excellence. Now, in his first full season back from retirement, Michael Jordan has done what seemed impossible. He has added to his already exalted reputation. He led the Chicago Bulls to an historic regular season, and they've continued their run of superiority into the playoffs. Overshadowed by the Bulls' dominance, the Seattle SuperSonics got here by shaking off the specter of past failures. Now these Sonics step onto the NBA's biggest stage for the first time against a team many have already declared the best of all time. An assessment the Sonics could alter, but only by pulling off one of the greatest upsets in sports history. Game 1, next.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1996 NBA Finals.
And after 2 years away, the NBA Finals return to Chicago.
What time is it? Game time!
With the Bulls hosting these Seattle SuperSonics, haunted the last 2 years by first-round playoff failures, they have at last reached the finals, but tonight they find themselves in the unaccustomed role of underdog. The Chicago Bulls, intent on completing a unique basketball odyssey, greeted moments ago by their roaring fans, most of whom view title number 4 as a foregone conclusion. Hi again, everybody. I'm Bob Costas, and welcome to these NBA Finals. With due respect to the Seattle SuperSonics and apologies to their fans, the prevailing attitude in Chicago and through most of the country, really, is that these NBA Finals loom not so much as a competition as a coronation. It's up to the Sonics to change that impression tonight, to convince the Bulls and the basketball public that they have come here as true foes, not mere foils. What a strange position for a team as good as the Sonics to be in. A team that won 64 regular season games this year, a total seldom exceeded in NBA annals. A team that in other years, against other competition, might very well be regarded as the favorite to win it all. And yet the Chicago Bulls have been installed as 10-1 favorites in this series, which means that at least in that sense, this is viewed as the greatest mismatch in NBA Finals history. If that's so, then the Bulls are on the verge not just of a championship, but of the completion of one of the golden seasons in the history of American team sports. To be compared not just to the Lakers, Celtics, and Sixers of the past, but to the 1927 Yankees, to Shula's 17-0 Dolphins, or any other team from any other era you want to throw in there. All very interesting, and based on what the Bulls have done so far, all very valid. But let Seattle come in here and take one of these first 2 games. Well, then the Bulls won't be thinking so much about their place in history as about what next week and 3 straight games in Seattle might hold for them. That, as they say, is why they play these games. Tip-off for Game 1 is about 10 minutes away. Marv Albert, Matt Gukas, and Bill Walton will join us from courtside when we come back to the United Center right after this. in Chicago. A look down at the United Center just minutes before Game 1 of the NBA Finals. The Seattle SuperSonics and the Chicago Bulls. And as we prepare to send it to our game announcers, we note that this has been a big week in Chicago. First, the Olympic torch passed through the city on Monday. And then Princess Diana hit town yesterday. And in fact, she is the guest of honor at a charity gala going on at this very moment, which, other than the Bulls, is the talk of Chicago. And as those British tabloids have been quick to point out, this continues a curious pattern of Her Highness and Marv Albert turning up in the same city at the same time. A shocking rumor further fueled by tonight's events. Coincidence? You be the judge. Marvelous?
Yes, Bob, certainly capturing the flavor of the playoff excitement here in Chicago. But we are joined by broadcasting royalty. Matt Guokas, one-time head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers and the Orlando Magic. Bill Walton, Hall of Famer by way of UCLA, Portland, and Boston. On a night that Michael Jordan and the Bulls are hoping that this will be the very first step in putting the finishing touches on their record-breaking, remarkable season.
I think we all want to be on the positive side of history. I think so far we've been that, with 72 wins, all the consecutive winnings of games that we've won. But by no means do we want to do all that and then be the team that lose to the Seattle SuperSonics in the finals. And I'm pretty sure that'll be marked in history too. So that's one side of history we certainly don't want to be a part of. And I think that's part of the motivation for a lot of the guys, especially myself, to try to get this thing done.
And Matt, part of the motivation for Michael is just to add to that legend.
And Marv, he has come all the way back to best player and MVP status, and what a history in the NBA Finals. Turning back 3 future Hall of Famers. It was Magic Johnson and the Los Angeles Lakers in '91. Then Clyde Drexler and the Portland Trail Blazers for their second straight championship in '92. And then the three-peat against 1993's most valuable player, Charles Barkley, and the Phoenix Suns. Michael Jordan knows this drill very well, going for his 4th NBA title.
And guys, for the Seattle Sonics, it is not just getting to the NBA Finals. They feel that they can beat the Bulls, and they're upset by those who give them little chance in this series.
I think you get mad. I think you get upset. And everyone's saying it's going to be a sweep. And everyone's saying it's going to be 4-1. In that case, why the heck are we even here? Why even show up if everybody's going to think we're going to get swept? I mean, we could have been happy in the Western Conference Finals. But, we think we're just as talented as Chicago is.
I think the pressure's on them. They got to come out. They say they're going to sweep us. Now they got to come out and try to play to that level. And I think that we're really relaxed right now, and we just come out and play.
Seattle relishes the role of the underdog. Now they're back to where they were against the 2-time defending champion Houston Rockets, which they swept in an earlier round. 2 of their key players that have got to come through in this series. Gary Payton, the Defensive Player of the Year, who stripped Michael Jordan in the decisive game between these 2 teams in Seattle earlier this year. Gary Payton responsible for the collective psyche of these 2 teams. And then, of course, Shawn Kemp, who has literally matured before our eyes the last 6 weeks. He'll be matched up against Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman with a new, interesting, and certainly colorful hairstyle today. Rodman will try to get into Shawn Kemp's psyche throughout this game. Shawn Kemp's responsibility is to play above that fray. Now, Seattle a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious. It's their first time here, but they're here to win. And Marv, they are not interested in being the lunch meat for the Chicago Bulls championship celebration.
All right, Bill, and we are moments away. Coming up, it's Game 1, the Sonics and the Bulls, the NBA Finals Series, in a moment.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Miller Lite. With a great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good. By Chrysler, leaders in innovative design and engineering. And by Castrol GTX, the most protection against volatility burn-off.
Welcome back to the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. And if you go by the numbers, a positive stat for fans of the Seattle Sonics. And now we're set for the introduction of the starting lineups. Here is the public address voice for the Chicago Bulls, Ray Clay.
gentlemen, the Chicago Bulls welcome the world's greatest fans to the United Center. Tonight, Game 1 of the NBA Finals is between the Seattle SuperSonics and your Chicago Bulls. Now, let's meet tonight's lineups. First, for the visiting Seattle SuperSonics, at one forward from Washington, 6'10", Shrimp. And the other forward, 6'10", out of Trinity Valley Community College, Shawn Kemp. At center, 6'11", out of New Orleans, Johnson. A 6'4" guard out of Oregon State, Payton. And the other guard from Bradley, 6'3", Percy Hawkins. The Seattle SuperSonics are coached by George Carl.
I can figure who's sending is that Phil has had way too much time between playoff games. So I guess they're prepared. So for the Seattle side of it, let's go down to Anna.
Ahmad, much of the hype in this series has been about Defensive Player of the Year, Gary Payton guarding Michael Jordan. That is not what we're going to see early. Here's what the Sonics experimented with yesterday during practice. They're going to start Gary Payton on Scottie Pippen. That's to help keep Payton out of foul trouble early and help keep the Bulls from advancing the ball. When Payton handles it, when Pippen handles it, he's going to try to slow him down. That leaves an interesting mismatch in the backcourt. We've got 6'10" Shrimp who will actually start the game on Michael Jordan. He has a height advantage over Jordan. He's going to need a lot of help. That is going to come from Percy Hawkins, who's going to double off Ron Harper. That's what they've experimented with. We'll see how they execute it early. Marv?
All right, Hannah, the officials, Joe Crawford, Dan Crawford, Bennett Salvatore. Guys, how long do you think the matchup of Shrimp and Jordan will last?
In the half-court game, that can be effective because Shrimp has got so much size. He's 6'10". The question is, can he stay with Michael off the dribble? But nobody else can either. Seattle at this point is just experimenting.
Irvin Johnson. Luke Longley on the opening tip, and it's controlled by the Bulls. Pippen going right at Payton. Matchup that Hannah referred to. Now they double up on Jordan. Harper is open for three. Yes.
Well, right away, you see the strategy. They will come and double team Michael with Hersey. Hawkins just trying to get the ball out of his hands, and they're willing to let Ron Harper take that shot.
By Gary Payton being played by Ron Harper. Shawn Kemp with the room.
And that's no surprise there. Luke Longley will try to match up with Shawn Kemp as much as possible to absorb some of the contact to try to keep Dennis Rodman out of early foul trouble.
Luke Longley. And back come the Sonics. It's the Bulls 3 and the Sonics 2. We are just underway. Kemp getting position, although he faces the double team. Payton for three. And Trent able to run it down.
The key for Seattle, as always, is offense. Cut down on turnovers, get to the hoop and finish. Post up your forwards and attack the basket to set up your three-point game.
For the Chicago Bulls, it has been a long layoff, a spread of 8 days. Talking to Bulls players, they say they were just sick and tired of facing each other during practice sessions. Trent picks up that first foul.
Marvin, the first finals that I ever played in, we had an extremely long layoff 20 years ago when we played Philadelphia with Dr. J. We had swept the Lakers in the in the finals of the West and then waited for Philadelphia to get ready. It hurt us terribly the first 2 games. We got blown out.
And Jordan's first attempt went astray. The Bulls have not played since they eliminated Orlando on May the 27th. That was Monday, Memorial Day. And Kemp fires from deep. So Shawn Kemp, who comes off the spectacular 7th and final game against Utah, is able to hit on his first 2 shots. The Sonics with a 4-3 lead. Jordan played by Kemp on the switch.
Terrific closeout by Shawn Kemp.
Rodman has been more offensive-minded in the playoffs.
Well, so far, the quick, active defense of Seattle has the Bulls confused.
And Pippen lets it go with the Seattle possession.
Shawn Kemp has this kind of range. It's not unusual for him to be able to drill this shot. The nice thing about it is he's attacking directly. There's no hesitation, no reluctance to put it up quickly. Size advantage for Pippen.
And Pippen shoots the three. Air ball handled by Trent. For Seattle, it is their first trip to the NBA Finals since they won the championship back in 1979. Here's Pippen for Harper. He beat Pippen and drew the foul.
This is what the Chicago Bulls do best from their defense. Whether it be a steal, whether it be a block shot or a rebound. This one started on the Luke Longley block, as in nobody really stopping Trent for putting any pressure, and a nice move by Hawkins without the ball. And Michael Jordan running the middle of the floor that time, and that's who Scottie Pippen was looking to. And that drew Gary Payton in the middle and left that open lane for Ron Harper.
It looked like Gary Payton was trying to let him go, but the momentum of his body down low, Gary Payton can't waste any fouls.
They call him the Glove. Selected as the NBA's best defensive player this past regular season, although here in Chicago there was certainly much support for Scottie Pippen.
That's the only award that the Bulls didn't win. I thought Scottie should have won that award.
And Kemp has been unstoppable here in the early moments. 3 for 3 from the field.
Well, he's already hit those 2 outside jumpers, and then if he gets positioned like that in the paint, nobody will stop him.
Harper, air ball hook shot, and the Bulls only 1 for their first 6. Johnson, Eldon Johnson getting down court, beating the Bulls, and the Sonics now lead 8-5.
Marv, terrific start for Seattle. Remember game 1 of the Orlando series, Chicago out 10-0 in the first game. Orlando never able to catch up the rest of the series.
His best game of the season in the game that Chicago lost to Seattle. He had game high of 21. In fact, a career high for Luke Longley, who's looking to take advantage of the Sonics, who do not have a dominating center.
This is the first series in a long, long time that Luke Longley can say, hey, I'm the best one of everybody out here. He's been going against Alonzo Mourning, Patrick Ewing, Shaq. Now he comes up against a little-used Irvin Johnson and some guys who really play a lot in the perimeter. Longley should be able to capitalize.
Payton coming up short, but it's Kemp giving it back. And Kemp again is on the ball and is called for a charge. Offensive foul.
Well, offensive rebounding has been the strength of the Chicago Bulls all season long, mainly on the shoulders of Dennis Rodman. But so far, it's been the Seattle SuperSonics getting the extra shot opportunities. And talk about a guy getting into foul problems. That is Shawn Kemp, and George Karl does not want to see him pick up those cheap fouls early in the ballgame.
Jordan. So Michael has missed his first two. The game is tied at 8. Here is Schrempf. And Rodman off the ball.
The Sonics doing what they want to do in transition, getting out, putting the pressure on Chicago's defense to scurry back. The Bulls not used to that.
Longley. And a loose ball foul called against Chicago. It is on Rodman, who is sporting a new look.
They got an aid symbol, a peace symbol, and a Pearl Jam symbol on that haircut for Dennis Rodman.
And that is the first technical called on Dennis with the new look.
Now, Dennis obviously not happy with that call. He felt he had inside position underneath the backboard, and when that whistle blew, he looked like the most confused guy in the world and took a long look at the trail official, Joe Crawford, as Rodman pushing and shoving on the back of Shawn Kemp, which Dennis does quite a bit. He felt he would have to push a lot harder than that to get a foul this early.
So it's the Sonics with a 9-8 lead. Gary Payton has missed his first 4 shots, being played by Ron Hopper, who has been just superb defensively throughout the playoffs. Now Kemp putting the move on. Rejected by Longley.
Detlef Schrempf's post-entry passes are too slow. Got to pass sharper than that.
Longley, very active here at the start. That's his second bucket, and it's the Bulls by 1. 5 minutes gone by in this first quarter. Schrempf played by Pippen. And the matchup is Jordan guarding Hawkins. Schrempf with the screen. Schrempf checking the clock. Illegal defense called for the first time against the Bulls. And a timeout is being indicated with 6:32 remaining. In this opening quarter, it's the Bulls with a 10-9 lead.
Well, Luke Longley has been very active. Both ends of the floor looked like he was clearly beaten by Shawn Kemp, but recovering to get his second block and then running the floor beautifully to finish off on the fast break.
Well, for the Bulls, it has been a magical season, a record-breaking 72 up, 10 down, but they feel to a man that it will not mean a thing unless they go all the way and win the title. We talked about this with Michael Jordan earlier and asked what's the greatest fear in going into this series against the Sonics.
My greatest fear is to take this team for granted and listen to a lot of the media expectations and speculations. I think we know that Seattle can play the game of basketball, no matter how much they may put us above Seattle. I think we have to be very, very cautious that this team could come out. All they need to do is win 1 game here, and next thing you know, we got to play 3 games in Seattle where they're stronger. So I think that's a danger. That's one of my, nervousness about this game and about being at home. That's added pressure.
Yes, several of Michael's teammates talked about the added pressure as Jordan comes up with the block on Hawkins.
Again, the size of the Bulls guard, something that the Sonics haven't had to face in their earlier rounds.
And Jordan draws the foul. Foul committed by Hawkins.
It's not only the size of the Bulls guards, it's also the lack of execution by the Seattle SuperSonics. If they have one weak spot, it is in that half-court execution. Slow developing play. Hersey forced to force that shot.
Longley, very active here at the start. Usually when Longley gets to it offensively, it is in the first quarter, but there's no question here it is part of the game plan against Irvin Johnson.
And Marv, Ahmad was telling us that he talked to Longley at the break, and Longley said that long layoff really helped those sore, aching knees.
And the foul is called on Luke Longley. Shawn Kemp will go to the line. It's the second team foul committed by Chicago. Seattle has 4.
Well, Irvin Johnson's job is to protect the lane against other players, and he is getting drawn away from the basket. Luke Longley making the fundamental move. Cut to the open area, his teammates are finding him.
When was that time you saw Luke Longley come show you the ball, tuck it down? He's been watching his teammates. He's learned a lot from playing with Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan.
Irvin Johnson, 3-year man from New Orleans, now going to the bench. Replaced by Sam Perkins. This has been the pattern. Johnson will start. He started 60 games during the regular season, but Perkins will get most of the minutes.
And Mark, Phil Jackson Field, he told me before the game that he thinks that the Sam Perkins-Tony Kukoc matchup is going to determine this series. Which one can lead their bench to the greatest performance?
Well, Michael Jordan with his first field goal. And the Bulls now lead 14-10.
And right now, Dennis Rodman will match up against Sam Perkins, who will try to keep Rodman as far away from the basket as possible.
The steal by Pippen.
Terrible pass by Payton. You got to move your feet and step through. That's a bad matchup with Rodman on Perkins for Chicago.
Pippen for 3. Scottie Pippen earlier in the playoffs having his problems from downtown that seemed to straighten things out in that 4th game against Orlando. Meanwhile, the Sonics have missed their last 5 shots. The Bulls are up 17-10.
Harper's really slowing down Gary Payton on the advance of the ball.
Open shot for Perkins for 3. Sam Perkins deadly from 3-point range.
Well, you mentioned it, Bill. Dennis Rodman left to go help out Luke Longley. You can't do that when you're watching Perkins, and Dennis dropped his head right away. He knew that Perkins had that long look at an easy 3 for him.
Jordan, yes. Michael Jordan missed his first 2. He's hit his last 2, and the Bulls are up by 6.
Marv, Detlefsham doesn't have the foot speed or quickness to jam Jordan on the perimeter. Beautiful entry pass. Dunk that ball. Finish.
3 minutes, 45 seconds to go in this first quarter. It's game 1 of the NBA Finals. The Sonics and the Bulls. Longley on the rebound and draws the foul. Now committed by Detlef Schrempf. That is his second. And George Karl looking down the bench and pointing at Vincent Askew. Nate McMillan also getting set to check in. Nate, a question mark because of the back problem. In fact, I'm told took a shot of cortisone in the back the second time he has done so, and he's going to give it a shot here. He said if he does not feel well, could take a couple of games off. And here comes Nate McMillan, co-captain of the Sonics, so important to this team. This is the scene moments ago back in the Seattle locker room. He was on the treadmill, also did some stretching, looking to get ready.
Marv, talking to Nate and knowing him throughout his long and really terrific career, there's something really wrong with that back. If it's not getting better with all the expert treatment he's been getting, there's something seriously wrong there. He needs a lot more time than just a day or two's rest.
Now Jordan going against Payton. Goes to the fadeaway. Oh, he wanted that shot. He wanted Gary Payton.
As soon as he had a one-on-one, he waved everybody out of there, and he wanted to go. And not a bad job by Gary Payton. He forced Michael out just a little bit further than he likes to be on that fadeaway jump shot. But Michael's eyes lit up when he saw Payton there. He wanted a piece.
So Jordan, after the slow start, has hit his last 3, and the Bulls lead by 9. Welcome back to Chicago. Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, Bill Walton, Mod Rashad, Hannah Storm. 3:18 remaining in this opening quarter, and the Bulls with a 17-5 run the last 5 minutes, now lead at 22-13. And you can see Chicago's balanced scoring led by Luke Longley.
Well, Phil Jackson's biggest concern with the 9-day layoff was conditioning, and the Bulls did look a little sluggish coming out, but it certainly has not hurt their early shooting. As a team, 8 for 16 from the field.
Seattle's defense is fine. That's their constant. Their offense is struggling. They've only got 13 points. They've got to finish stronger at the hoop.
Steve Kerr has come on for the first time for the Bulls. Here's Perkins to the fadeaway, and rebounded by Pippen.
When you're behind early, you can't start thinking about shooting fadeaways. You got to turn, get to the hoop, get to the foul line.
Open shot for Pippen for three. And Payton able to race it down. Nate McMillan met by Steve Kerr, and a reach-in called on Luke Longley. For Longley, his second.
Well, the Sonics do such a terrific job of running the floor. We saw it at the beginning of the game. Even Irvin Johnson, not really an offensive threat, but he runs, he sprints, he makes the defense work extra hard. And Shawn Kemp, one of the best in the business at the big forward position at running the floor, and that time making Luke Longley work even harder.
But even though Luke Longley's got 3 fouls and now on the bench for Tony Kukoc, this is when the Bulls get even better by going small. Just 2 fouls for Luke Longley, excuse me.
And here's Askew with his first shot attempt. So Askew from downtown. Vincent Askew in his 7th NBA season out of Memphis State. Not noted for his shooting. Excellent complementary type player. Very tough defensively. Tony Kukoc has come on for the first time for Chicago. It's the Bulls by 6 as we come up on 2 minutes to go in this first quarter. Kukoc checking the shot clock. And Kerr fires from way downtown.
2 minutes to play in the first quarter.
Last touched by Jordan. That was even out of Steve Kerr's normal range.
Had to put it up, forced on the shot clock. Now Steve Kerr, Bill Jackson, very concerned as to where he can find time. He thinks he can get it against McMillan, who doesn't have much quickness.
Nice move by Perkins, but could not convert.
Well, you know Perkins can shoot from the perimeter. He's got a post game as well, but you don't normally see him put it on the floor and get to the hoop that easily.
3 on 2, but the Bulls got back. Minute and a half left. First quarter, here's Kemp. Shawn Kemp on fire, 4 of 6 here in the first quarter, and he has 9 points. So a 4-point advantage for Chicago. And off the boards, they are now even. Rodman leading the way with 6. Missing the 3, and back comes Kemp. And Kemp looked to go all the way, but stripped by Jordan. Rebound, Kukoc. Kukoc twisting his way in midair. And it's the Bulls with a 6-point lead.
Turnovers for Seattle. Chicago is terrific at turning those turnovers into points. They utilized everything that time, including the offensive glass.
Rodman tried to front Kemp and did break it up. Rodman fortunate to get a piece of the ball. So Kemp turned it over for the second time. Pippen on the offensive glass. Kerr passed on the 3 and then blocked by Kemp. Here comes Payton, but Rodman is back. 20 seconds to go in the quarter. And now George Karl says reset.
Seattle's big men are not running the floor. They're the ones that appear to be the more fatigued team.
Final seconds of the quarter. Payton on the pull-up. Rebound, Kemp. That is the end of the first quarter. The Bulls, after a slow start, able to regroup. And after one, they lead by 6. Kemp with 9. Jordan, 3 of 6 from the field. So Michael with 6 points. We'll be back here at the United Center in a moment.
This is the NBA on NBC, the 1996 NBA Finals.
Well, in the first quarter, the matchup has been Dennis Rodman going against Shawn Kemp right throughout. We asked Shawn, can Rodman defend you one-on-one?
I don't think anybody really can defend an NBA player offensively one-on-one. I think what Dennis does is plays great position defense. And, you know, I've watched him a little bit this playoffs, and he's frustrated a lot of players, and we're getting under their skin. So I think the thing you have to tell yourself is that you know Dennis is going to be Dennis. That's his game. That is his game to frustrate people. So, you know, I have to be the man that just walk off and run down court and kind of let some things slide here. You know, I have a mission. I'm on a mission and see something that's at the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel. So I can't let a little scratch or claw, his pulling on the jerseys or anything like that, you know, throw me out of my game because, you know, this time of the season, you can't go through that.
And Shawn Kemp had an excellent first quarter, 9 points, hitting 4 of 6 from the field. 3-point shot went astray, and the tip is put home. So the Bulls now lead 24-20. Sam Perkins getting a piece of it.
Gary Payton off to a very slow start offensively. 0 for 6 from the field, 0 points. I'd post up Shawn Kemp against Dennis Rodman. Take Dennis inside, punish him.
And here is Kukoc. Tony just beating the 24, and the Bulls now lead by 6. It's been a difficult time emotionally for Gary Payton dealing with his sister's suicide attempt. Shawn Kemp now with 11 points, although we can certainly understand him being affected as he was. He admitted that he was having problems in Game 6 against Utah.
Marv, I talked to Gary just this morning. He said all that's behind him. Everything is fine. The family is together and safe. Gary said if it was a more serious problem, he would not be here.
Minute and a half gone by in the second quarter. Bulls with the ball, and they lead by 4. Foul against the Bulls. Offensive foul. So the Sonics get it back. Now there's a 3-second violation.
Well, the Bulls are doing their work on the offensive boards, getting second chance opportunities. Already 5 offensive rebounds, but really not taking advantage of it, not converting them into baskets. But yet, this is going to be a big factor throughout this series, how well the Sonics do in the rebounding department with Chicago.
For the Bulls, their first turnover on that 3-second call. Nice move by Payton. And for Gary Payton, it is his first field goal. It brings the Sonics within 2.
Phil Jackson just looked down the bench at his assistant coaches. He said, that's why I put Randy Brown in there to stop that.
Pippen got inside and then able to hit on the follow.
With this lineup, Gary Payton should not be playing against Scottie Pippen. They're short guards for Chicago. Askew and Payton can take advantage there.
A steal as Kukoc was able to knock it away. Michael Jordan getting a rest here at the start of the second quarter. Brown and Kerr in the backcourt. Kukoc, Rodman and Pippen up front. Kukoc a bit too strong, and back comes Nate McMillan.
Nice box out Askew on Rodman.
Perkins, yes, and it counts. A beautiful move going right at Dennis Rodman. For Rodman, his second foul. And the Bulls now lead by 2.
Sam Perkins can score from three-point land, can score in the post. When you go right at Dennis Rodman, it doesn't give him a chance to be first-team All-NBA defense. Phil.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Budweiser, official sponsor of the 1996 Olympic Summer Games. This Bud's for you. By Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. And by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper is just what the doctor ordered.
Well, the Lovables with a snappy number inspired by Dennis Rodman's persona. Catchy tune, too. And there is Dennis sitting down after collecting his second foul. 7 rebounds to lead the way. Shawn Kemp is the high man of the game with 11 points. Sam Perkins with 7 points in his 8 minutes of playing time.
Remember in the Houston series when Coach Rudy Tomjanovich said that Sam Perkins is an impossible matchup. If you put a big man on him, he takes him outside, draws him away from the basket. You put a smaller man on him, he can punish you inside. And when he used that impossible matchup phrase, all Sam's teammates have been kidding him ever since. Here's a guy averages 12 points a game, impossible matchup. And Sam has that low-key demeanor, but has really developed into a very strong locker room leader for this team.
He'll need to play huge minutes in this series. Remember, Sam, a long-time veteran, the only member of this Seattle team with championship experience from the '91 finals. Lakers when Sam was playing with Magic Johnson.
And a college teammate of Michael Jordan at North Carolina. Seattle in the midst of a 14-6 run since the Bulls led by 9. That over the last 6.5 minutes. And the Bulls lead now is 1. Jordan is back on the floor, as is Harper. Judd Bushler has come on for the first time for Chicago.
George Karl could not have drawn it up any better, Marv, that time. Get it out of Jordan's hand, make Bushler and Harper play with it on the weak side.
And it is Bushler trying to defend on Perkins, and the foul is called.
And when all that double teaming is going on, it really puts your defense in jeopardy on second shots. But so far, we've seen Vincent Askew do a terrific job boxing people out, getting a body on people, and then even if he doesn't get the rebound, one of his teammates does.
3.5 gone by, second quarter. And Chicago on 28-27. Here's Askew. And he's fouled by Bushler, a hacking call. So Bushler with a quick 2, and Askew will head to the line.
Marv, Seattle has completely turned it around on the offensive end. They were down 22-13. Now they have a chance to take the lead here. Chicago struggled when Jordan was out. Pippen could not carry the load. Payton has stayed in the whole way and settled down his offensive team.
And you look at the Chicago lineup right now. Of course, Michael Jordan is back in there with Tony Kukoc. They're going to have to carry much of the offensive load right now. And as you mentioned, well, you can afford to double team right now. Other than Bill Wennington, nobody really a sharp perimeter shooter.
And Scottie Pippen only 2 of 7 from the field. The Bulls have hit just 3 of the last 14, and you can sense the impatience of this capacity crowd here at the United Center. The poor shooting continues by Chicago. Perkins with the good look and hits again. A 3 for Sam Perkins. He now has 11 points, and he has led the Sonics to a 4-point lead.
Big men who can run the floor, shoot the ball from the perimeter in transition. Very difficult to stop for this current Bull lineup.
Askew called for the holding foul as Jordan looked to make his move.
In transition, Gary Payton will find Sam Perkins. Looked like Sam had to shuffle his feet to get his balance there, but he's feeling the rhythm so well. Just put it up there every time.
Well, Phil Jackson not pleased, as you might expect, and he's taken a timeout. 7:43 to go in the first half. Seattle by 4. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago. Seattle in the midst of a 19-6 run to take a 4-point lead. Let's check in with Hannah Storm. Hannah?
In the Seattle huddle, Marv, George Karl telling his team he wants to continue to see a crowd around Michael Jordan because he said Jordan is not looking to pass. He's looking to win this thing on his own. They're down by 4, Marv.
And as you say that, Michael unleashes from 3-point range.
Well, in the last series in the conference final against Orlando, every time Phil Jackson called on Bushler, Steve Kerr, Bill Wennington, Randy Brown, they produced in short minutes. So far, they have not gotten it. Phil has gone back to his starters.
And it was way back in Game 4 on May the 27th against Orlando that Jordan was able to hit the 45 points to lead the Bulls over the Magic.
But Marv, this is a shot out of the triangle offense, which Phil Jackson tells us he wants Michael to stay in because it makes it so much more difficult for George Karl's trapping defense to be effective if he's in the offense as opposed to just the isolation plays.
Bulls foul called on Harper. Gary Payton. He missed his first 6. He's hit his last 2, and the Sonics now lead by 3 points. Just under 7 minutes to go in this first half. Luke Longley. And the rebound gathered in by Gary Payton. Payton and Hawkins in the backcourt. Shrimp, Kemp, Askew on the front line, and it's an offensive foul. Rodman hits the deck, and it's called on Shrimp. So for Detlef, that is number 3.
Not a good performance to open up this series by Detlef Schrempf. He has not scored yet. An obvious offensive foul. He's not moving his feet enough. He's not trying to go around guys. He's not quick to the glass, and certainly not getting the job done defensively on Jordan.
Otherwise, a fine day for Detlef. All right, here's Longley. 10 points for Longley.
It looks like Luke picked up something from Shaquille in that last series. He dipped that left shoulder and just wiped the defender out of there.
Sonics by 1 as we come up on 6 minutes to go. First half, they double up on Perkins.
Seattle has to move more when that ball goes into the post on the perimeter.
3-point attempt by Hawkins. And the ball will go back to Chicago.
Well, Seattle has a real bad tendency as the ball is temporarily stuck. We'll have to get Jordan to see if he can get that off the top of the glass there. I know Wilt would walk out and say, I can get that one.
I go to the old schoolyard, just throw another basketball at it. And Scottie Pippen has the right idea. And that appreciated by the official, Danny Crawford.
Wilt not in attendance tonight, but certainly Bill Russell is.
One of the all-time greats and the former general manager and coach of the Seattle SuperSonics, Bill Russell on hand. Harper. 7 points for Harper. And the Bulls take a 1-point lead.
Luke Longley is the Chicago Bulls offense.
Yes, Longley with 10.
And the nice assist to Harper that time.
Yes. Shawn Kemp with 13 points. He's had the touch. 6 of 8 from the field, and the Sonics by 1. Jordan and Harper at the guards. Pippen, Longley, and Rodman up front. Jordan for 3. He hesitated. He was not going to take that shot.
Seattle has so many players, Marv, who can play big against Jordan physically. Askew, Hawkins, Payton, and of course McMillan, if he's healthy enough.
Pippen on the glass. Rebound is stuffed by Harper.
Well, until that follow-up by Ron Harper, Vincent Askew in particular has been doing an outstanding job of getting his body on Chicago shirts and keeping them off the glass, but that time nobody found Ron Harper. They're not concerned about what Ron Harper's doing at the offensive end.
And Ron Harper has been doing it. 9 points for Harper. Hawkins. Nice move off the dribble by Hersey Hawkins for his first field goal. The Sonics 38 and the Bulls 37. Pippen changed his mind.
Hawkins needs that sort of response. He cannot let Chicago come at him at one end and then just passively play on the offensive end.
Hersey will bounce back in Game 7 against Utah after the 0 for 8 and a tough time against Jeff Hornacek in Game 6. To the fadeaway. And here comes Payton in the open floor. Going right at Harper. And a foul call. It's a block. You can hear the reaction from the crowd. Joe Crawford with the quick call on that blocking foul.
Well, Gary Payton loves to push the basketball, and generally his team is running lanes with him. This time he looked around, he didn't see any friends of his, decided he was going to try to create something out of nothing. I think got bailed out on the call somewhat here as he just threw that shoulder into Ron Harper.
Ron Harper not in good defensive position. Looked like he was just trying to take a charge, and oftentimes the referees, when they see a player bailing out and just trying to take advantage of a tough roll. Horrible pass by Sam Perkins.
Perkins surprising Kemp. Pippen draws the foul.
Marv, Seattle has not been feeding the ball to Shawn Kemp well. There's been tough passes up around his head area, down around his feet. Get him the ball in his triple threat position. Give him some space and let him get moving out there. Help your teammates out.
And that has contributed to the turnover total by Kemp. Seattle with 8 turnovers in this first half. Chicago with just 1. Sonics with a 1-point lead. It's game 1 of the NBA Finals Series. Game 2 here in Chicago on Friday night. And on NBC starting at 9 o'clock Eastern time. And then the scene will shift to the Key Arena in Seattle. Game 3 Sunday night starting at 7:30 Eastern time. Game is tied at 39. Askew firing the 3. Rodman lost it and then recovered and calls for timeout. 20-second timeout requested by the Bulls. Well, looking back at the regular season, the Bulls and the Sonics met on 2 occasions. Back in November at Seattle, the Bulls were able to jump out to a 13-point halftime lead. In fact, the Bulls built an 18-point lead before Shawn Kemp and Gary Payton led the Sonics back to combining for 51 points in a 97-92 Seattle victory. They met again in January here in Chicago, and it was the Bulls led by Michael Jordan, 35 points and 14 rebounds, 29 from Scottie Pippen, as the Bulls dealt the Sonics their worst loss of the regular season, 113-87. The Bulls shot 60% from the field in the game, while the Sonics only 36%. What is vivid in the mind, though, of Michael Jordan in that loss to Seattle, in a critical situation, he was stripped down the stretch by Gary Payton.
Gary Payton just took it right away from him. Jordan going for the game winner. And how about the fact that Scottie Pippen missed 6 straight free throws in the last 2 minutes in the game at Seattle.
3 minutes, 20 seconds remaining in this first half. Seattle has done it off bench. 16-4. Sparked by Pippen. And Longley will head to the line. Luke Longley, to this point, has outscored Michael Jordan. They'll be looking for points 11 and 12. Substitution for Seattle, the veteran Frank Brakowski in his 12th NBA season out of Penn State, a bruising-type player who could touch a nerve with Dennis Rodman has checked in for the first time.
Well, Frank, being a wise old veteran, knows all the tricks, knows how to use those forearms and elbows and the strong lower body around the basket. And I'm sure we'll get tangled up with Dennis Rodman at some point, if not today, some other one.
I think it'd be a good idea because Rodman's already got the 1 technical. Try to get another one. Try to get him ejected. Use some of Rodman's own antics against himself.
Bill with that National Hockey League mentality. The Bulls 41-39 over the Sonics. And some pressure being shown by Chicago.
Seattle has to attack this press. You can't just let them come up and make you take so much time off the shot clock.
Here's the double on Kemp, and a traveling violation is called. Another Seattle turnover. It is their 9th. Timeout taken. 2:56 to go in the first half. Reminder coming up on the Prudential halftime report. Bob Costas will be talking live with the Phoenix Suns' Charles Barkley. Charles, of course, played in the finals against Michael Jordan and the Bulls back in 1993, a series won by Chicago in 6. And Charles's name has been mentioned of late in trade talks. Good friend Danny Ainge will eventually coach the Phoenix Suns. That a recent development. We'll get his reaction to that coming up at halftime. Bob Costas, Julius Erving on the Prudential halftime report.
Seattle doing an outstanding job on the glass. Vincent Askew and Sam Perkins have made major contributions off the bench.
Good coach trying to flip it up with the running hook. Bulls with a 41-39 lead. 2.5 remaining in this first half. Brakowski, pass on the three, and then heaves it back the other way at an ocean to a drive lane. Hawkins able to knock it down. Hersey Hawkins has tied the game at 41.
That rebounding stat is a big one and will be throughout this series, but so far the Sonics with their big problem with turnovers, 9 to Chicago's 1.
Oh, Michael Jordan took the hit. Frank Brykowski looking to brace the fall of Jordan, who wanted no part of it.
So they ran the backdoor play for Jordan. Jordan got away with the push-off on Hawkins. I'm surprised Hawkins didn't complain a little bit more on that push-off to get Jordan open. But that's really Jordan's initial opportunity inside tonight. Seattle has done a very good job of keeping him on the perimeter, and with Gary Payton able to jam up with Vincent Askew as well, forcing Jordan to stay in the perimeter. That could work well for Seattle.
And we get the whistle, a pushing foul on Luke Longley. That is his third. Bulls are now over the foul limit.
So careless here. First of all, Shawn Kemp just a little bit late there in stepping in. You got to step up the lane. Luke Longley taking advantage of. You never want to pick up a foul like that when you already have two, when you're down in the closing minutes of the half.
So Shawn Kemp to the line. He's 2 of 2 from the line. Kemp hitting the huge free throws in game number 7. Here comes John Sally, replacing Luke Longley. 12 points for Longley. His playoff career high is 14. So the Sonics now lead by 1. Shawn Kemp, game 7 against Utah, 10 of 11 at the free throw line. Sonics by 1, just under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Here's the double team on Jordan, who's able to beat it, and that is fouled. Oh, Rodman and Brykowski had words. Oh, you can see it coming.
And as you mentioned before, Mark and Bill, Dennis Rodman has to be very careful already with that first technical foul. Any kind of talking or two players getting together like that, and he will get whistled for that second and be tossed.
It's absurd that Dennis Rodman can walk around acting like, look what they're doing to me. They're hitting me. They're pushing me. Dennis Rodman initiates all that stuff. Rodman inside there, just keeps walking right into Brykowski. Elbows, arms all tied up. Innocent victim, Dennis.
Michael Jordan, 2 of 3 at the line, and now has 12 points. It's the Bulls by 1. Light pressure this time by Chicago, handled by Seattle. That is turnover number 5 for Shawn Kemp.
Well, Shawn led the league during the regular season, averaging 4 a game and 4 throughout the playoffs so far, already over his average in just the first half.
And that's 10 in all for Seattle. Chicago with just 1.
Shawn Kemp's not moving around the defenders. He's just trying to go through them or over them. That won't work.
And Joe Crawford says, stay right here, and Dennis Rodman could be losing it. Now he's applauding the call. Rodman was about to get involved and then walked away.
Joe Crawford is going to call a flagrant foul here on Frank Brykowski.
So Dennis Rodman, who has had his ups and downs at the line, is able to hit the first for his first point of the night.
Brykowski looking to box out, looking to keep Rodman off, but just moved over with the forearm, with the elbow to the upper midsection. Very dangerous play, uncalled for.
And now Judd Bushler replaces Dennis Rodman. The conversation continues. And a technical has been called on Brykowski. Brukowski. Apparently, Joe Crawford feels that the intent of Brukowski was to instigate something against Rodman. Brukowski now walking in the direction of a couple of Bulls, and he's joined by a security man and is ushered back to the locker room.
And he got a couple of parting shots to referee Joe Crawford, and then one final parting shot to, I'm sure, Jack Haley sitting on the bench.
An absolutely uncalled for situation by Brukowski, who's a good, skilled basketball player who sometimes gets too caught up in the physical aspect of the game. But he has a flagrant foul and then 2 technicals. We're going to just see a parade to the line for Chicago. And Seattle worked so hard to get back in this game offensively. Now Chicago with a chance to open it up a bit here.
Well, as you said earlier, Bill, I don't think there's any question that Brukowski was trying to get that second technical called on Dennis Rodman. There's no argument. Of course, George Karl can't be happy with this, but he did not put up any fire regarding that call. This foul on Wingate who just checked in. David Wingate, who may see more action. Actually, he'd have to see more than he did against Utah. Played a total of 7 minutes in that Utah series, but the feeling is that we might see more of Wingate, perhaps defending against Jordan.
That's just another weapon. Give him as many looks as possible. But why would Brukowski, after he gets a flagrant foul, why would he even say anything? Just walk away and start the next play.
Free throw parade has provided a 6-point lead for the Bulls. And here's some pressure. Now the Bulls drop back, and Kemp is able to make his way down court, and then is hit on a reach-in by Sally.
Marv, Chicago would love to have Shawn Kemp bring the ball up against the press every single time.
Yeah, George Karl must have his heart in his throat. Shawn already with 5 turnovers and just so loose and at times careless with the basketball.
The Rain Man of the Rain Country, Shawn Kemp, 4-time All-Star. At 26, he's an NBA veteran at an age when most players just getting their feet wet. He entered the NBA at 19 years of age.
And he knows where that foul line is. 4th in the league this year, and going to the free throw line, and 4th it makes.
Bulls with the ball and a 4-point lead. And Jordan is being guarded by Wingate. Jordan. So Michael has opened it up. He has 18 points, and the Bulls lead by 6.
Seattle play the clock here to go 2 for 1. But Phil Jackson and the Bulls know that Seattle does not have a shot blocker.
Sally looking for the steal is called for the reach-in.
Once you get by the perimeter defense, which is terrific for Seattle, Gary Payton can't control him, can't keep him in the corner, but there's nobody up top. There's nobody coming from the weak side to knock something down.
But classic execution on that pick and roll. Jordan got a good screen from John Sally and made sure he cleared the pick and took that defender away, able with his quickness to find that little seam and get in the basket. And Michael knows that if he pulls up, he's going to get double teamed. So that's why he's playing on the perimeter right now. He's going to get more opportunities to do that. Take it to the hoop.
That looked like Luke Longley swooping to the hoop.
Yes.
Bulls 51-46 over the Sonics. Kukoc for 3. And it's rebounded by Hawkins. Good box out. Down to a half minute remaining in this first half. Wingate fired up and was fortunate to draw the charge on Kukoc.
Marv, Seattle's weak side rebounding has really improved. Early in the game, Chicago was getting offensive second opportunities, but Wingate in transition takes it to the hoop, and Kukoc not in proper position, again bailing out, trying to take charges. Those calls have gone against the defender all game long.
David Wingate in his 10th NBA season out of Georgetown, acquired from Charlotte as part of that Hersey Hawkins Kendall Gill trade. He's also played for Philadelphia, San Antonio, and Washington. Steve Kerr for John Sally. Sally picking up the 2 fouls.
It's really good to see 2 teams who are obviously outstanding defensive teams, the 2 best in the league, and love to run from their defense. They'll look to fast break, they'll look to push it up, look for scoring opportunities in transition.
Well, the the Bulls led by as many as 9. They're up by 3. And he'll go to the line with 18 and 2/10 seconds remaining in this first half. Foul on Kemp. That is his second.
This is the second backdoor opportunity that the Bulls have gotten out of their triangle offense. The first one was Jordan. He ended up getting fouled. This time, the poor defensive footwork by Seattle, not opening up to the ball, having no idea that the pass was even coming. Chicago so outstanding in their set offense, their execution. The number one rule when they cut you off backdoor and get to the hoop.
Well, the floor is spread for the closing of the quarter type of offense, and you rarely see give-and-go basketball anymore. Everything is either going to be post up or pick and roll, but with the floor spread, you can get those opportunities. Kemp fell asleep on the play.
All right, the Bulls 14 of 16 at the line of the second quarter, and here's pressure by Chicago, leading to the foul. It is on Jordan. That is his first. Got a glimpse of Bill Wennington making his first appearance of the first half. So Phil Jackson going through his litany of centers. Longley, the starter, then John Sally, and now Bill Wennington. Jackson's Bulls up by 5 with 15 seconds remaining first half. The NBA Coach of the Year, Phil Jackson, who likes to get his points in subtle fashion. He's been referring to Seattle's superb defense as a zone defense. Every time the word defense comes up, it's preceded by zones, certainly angling for some illegal defensive calls, and Seattle led the NBA in that department.
I thought he was calling it a Zen
Yes,
defense.
that may be. Very good, Matt, working on that for several days.
Phil Jackson trying to paint a big picture of what's happening here. But when Seattle is illegal, they are called for it.
They have yet to be called for one in the first half. Final seconds of the half. Down to 5 seconds. Kukoc backs to three-point territory. And Bennett Salvatore comes in to make the call with 2 and 2/10 seconds to go in the half. Double foul on Wingate and Jordan.
Michael Jordan trying to get to the offensive glass, and David Wingate trying to hold him off, and the officials very quick to get in there and make this double foul call. Michael really creating havoc in there, getting the best of that matchup right there.
So they will jump it up. Irvin Johnson and Scottie Pippen on the jump, and they will do it again.
Things starting to get very chippy right now. Michael Jordan senses that the Seattle SuperSonics trying to get their pops in whenever they can. He's been hand fighting and battling with Askew and Wingate on this tip.
Just 2 and 2/10 seconds remaining in the first half. And that'll do it. That is waved off. So Shawn Kemp, high man for Seattle with 18. Michael Jordan with 18-12. Of his 18 in the second quarter. A physical second quarter. The Bulls are up by 5. Bob Costas and the Prudential halftime report right after these messages.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential. Live well, make a plan, be your own rock.
Halftime of Game 1 at the United Center with the Bulls leading the Sonics 53-48. Michael Jordan, after a slow start, has 18 points. Shawn Kemp, who started hot, has that same total at halftime, 18 for the Sonics. But both Scottie Pippen and Gary Payton have shot poorly. Both are 2 for 8. Hi, everybody. Bob Costas. I'll be joined by Julius Erving in our next segment, and we'll talk about this first half. But right now, we have a chance to talk with Charles Barkley. So far, this has been a very nice run in season number 12 in the NBA for Barkley. A good year for him, his best since winning the league MVP in 1993. That year, Charles took the Suns to the NBA Finals. against Michael Jordan and the Bulls. They lost in 6, as you recall. A member of the original Dream Team, Barkley will be making his second appearance in the Olympics just over 6 weeks from now in Atlanta. Charles joins us now from his home just outside Phoenix. You know, Charles, it seems like we have this conversation sometime during the NBA Finals every year, and this is the first time in the last 3 that we haven't been talking to an injury-plagued Charles Barkley who was at least considering retirement. Now, as I understand it, you're thinking of another 2 or 3 years.
I don't know if I'm taking up another 2 or 3, but I'd definitely like to play at least one more.
Will that one more be in Phoenix? Because there's serious talk that, considering your age, 33, and the fact that Phoenix may want to retool their ball club and you have the highest trade value, that you could be somewhere else.
Well, more than likely, I have played my last game for the Phoenix Suns. I just don't like the fact the way things have been going. I think they've showed me no respect, and it would be hard, I mean very hard. They're a great organization. I've enjoyed my 4 years here, but I can't honestly say I could come back to work here after they've shopped me around all summer and give 110%.
Why do you say they've shown you no respect? I could understand you're wanting to go to a different team at this stage of your career, but isn't it the Suns' prerogative to check and see what your trade value is?
No, I don't think so. I feel like I have earned a certain amount of respect, and I don't like the way they're doing it. I feel like I've given them 110% for 4 years, and I don't look at myself as a piece of meat. I think they could have came to me and said, hey, we got to retool the team, and that would be fine. But I know they've been shopping me for the last year, and it's not my fault. They're the one who traded away all my good players, and I feel bad. I feel bad for the fans of Phoenix, but I don't think I should have to pack up and move my family and at 33 and only want to play one or 2 more years, and I don't think that's right at all.
You're coming off your best season since the MVP year. You have more games played, more minutes per game, and more points per game than at any time since the 92-93 season. So obviously, at least in the short run, you would have great value to a contender. Among the teams mentioned are the Knicks, the Pacers, the Rockets. Assuming that's valid, would you have a preference among those 3?
Well, if I got an opportunity to play with, if I play again, it's going to have to be an ideal scenario. I'm going to have to be with some really good players, guys who really want to win the championship, and that would be best for me. I don't want to rebuild. I don't want to play on a mediocre team. There's only like 5 or 6 really good teams in the NBA. And if I could play for the championship, that's the only goal I have left to accomplish. I wish it could be here in Phoenix, but they've just done a bad job with our team. And I feel bad because these people here deserve a championship. But one of those 3 teams, New York or Houston, Indiana, would be ideal. But it'd have to be perfect.
In a sense, Charles, are you trying to ensure that you're going to be traded by saying provocative things about the Suns' management, or do you consider that such a foregone conclusion it doesn't matter what you say?
Well, I'm not trying to make anybody mad. I'm just making facts. We just made some bad trades. We won 60 games, 3 out of the last 4 years, and I feel bad. And I'm disappointed the way they've treated me. I'm disappointed the way they treated Dan Marley, Cedric Ceballos, Mark West, and I'm just frustrated.
2 very quick things before we let you go, Charles. Your thoughts on this game, not so much the first half, but actually the series. Is there any scenario by which you can see the Sonics winning this thing?
Well, the Sonics are very good. I mean, but the Bulls are a great team. I think they played very rusty the first half. The other guys were not really in rhythm. Michael was trying to take over and keep it to the other guys get their rhythm. But I think the Sonics have a decent chance. I don't see anybody beating the Bulls. But the Sonics have a slight chance.
Last thing, you're on the Dream Team again, and we know for a fact that the second game you play on July 22nd is against the African Continental Qualifier, and again it's Angola. And we recall that you threw a little elbow at a guy named Erlander Coimbra of Angola the last time, and we checked, he's on the team. Do you plan to take him out to dinner in Atlanta, show him the sights here in the States?
I'm going to hit him the same way I did the first time.
So you're not going to let up on him, huh?
No, Americans, we are the best country in the world. and we are the best at basketball, and we got to kill them all.
I understand he's been lifting weights the last 4 years. He's not a stick figure anymore. He's about 260 now.
Hey, I've been lifting weights ever since the day the season ended, and I'm ready.
All right, Charles, always good to talk with you. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, Bob.
Okay, when we come back, we'll hear from Charles Barkley's former teammate in Philly, Julius Erving. But first, a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA.
Back in Chicago, halftime, game 1 of the NBA Finals. The Bulls 53 and the Sonics 48. So, Matt, the Bulls by 5, yet they're shooting only 36% from the field.
And Chicago's bench, which was so productive all year long, coming up empty, outscored 18-4 in that first half. 4 of those points going to Tony Kukoc.
And, Bill, you look at the Seattle stat line, very impressive, but very quiet first half for Gary Payton and Detlef Schrempf.
Detlef Schrempf seems to be intimidated out there. He's in a fog. Gary Payton has to get up and down the court, create some opportunities, open this game up. Seattle is right there. Their offense a little bit stagnant, sluggish.
All right, a closer look at the statistics as we check out the Miller Lite halftime stats. Seattle 16 of 34, 47% shooting, yet they're trailing in the game. Chicago with 10 additional shots, but only 36% from the field. Michael Jordan, 12 of his 18 coming in the foul-filled second quarter. Look at the turnovers. Seattle with 10, leading to 14 Chicago points. Shawn Kemp with 5 of those 10 turnovers, but Kemp leading the way with 18 points. We'll be back with the second half from the United Center in just a moment. Marv Albert, Bill Walton, Matt Kukis back in Chicago. The Bulls by 5 as this third quarter gets underway. Kemp with 18, Perkins with 11, leading Seattle. Jordan with 18, and Longley with 12 to lead the Bulls. Schrempf being played by Pippen. A quiet first half for Pippen, only 2 field goals. Irvin Johnson and Dennis Rodman with rebound number 9.
Too soft for Irvin Johnson. Come across that lane and smash that ball through the hoop.
Jordan getting right to him.
Well, once the ball went into Michael Jordan, the quick double team right back out to Pippen, and then the quick repost, and Seattle's defense not quick enough to match it.
Now the matchup is Longley guarding Kemp, and Kemp with 20 points.
Gary Payton is really floating that center post pass. You got to zip that ball in there and allow Shawn Kemp to go quickly by his defender.
Rodman's pass broken up. Detlef Schrempf in his 12 minutes in the first half did not score. And now the foul is called, and that will put Schrempf at the line. And for Longley, it is number 4.
Well, the experiment in the first half with Detlef Schrempf having the initial assignment on Michael Jordan did not work defensively. It certainly didn't help Detlef's offense as well. Here we see Shawn Kemp, who has been scoring almost at will. And I'm not really all that sure how worried the Bulls are about Shawn Kemp. They know he's going to get some points. But I think the Bulls are concerned about, much as they were in the Orlando series, they don't want to let the three-point shooters go off. They held Seattle to 3 for 8 from beyond the arc in that first half.
The interesting thing about Shawn Kemp is that when he was in all that foul trouble against Utah, Seattle was winning all those games. Then when he started having the big numbers, 25 points, 15 rebounds every game, that's when Utah got back into it.
Bulls by 3. We're just underway in the third. Now Johnson switching off on Jordan. Schrempf gets back to him. Shot clock at 6. Nice move by Ron Harper. 11 for Harper. It's the Bulls 57, the Sonics 52.
Irvin Johnson playing here in the presence of Bill Russell, one of the premier shot blockers in the history of basketball. He's just too slow to get to this ball. When Harper comes flashing across the middle here, Irvin Johnson is right there at 7 feet tall. It looked like Rodman held him down there.
That's why he was slow.
Putting added pressure on Irvin Johnson, who is a very fine shot blocker, but playing in the presence of Bill Russell.
You better bring it all when that happens.
Jordan is rejected. Pippen on the the recovery. And he'll go to the line. Scottie Pippen, 4 of 4 at the line, will shoot 2 more as Shawn Kemp picks up his 3rd foul.
This is not the kind of foul that Shawn Kemp needs. He is a very good shot blocker. He comes in there, and it looked like he was just trying to foul rather than making a good defensive play on Pippen, who can't find the range.
So the Bulls now lead by 7. Right of the chest of Payton. Looking for the steal is called for the foul. That's 3 on Ron Harper.
Well, the pick and roll play for Seattle has been so effective, or at least it has been throughout the playoffs, with Payton getting very low and Ron Harper working extremely hard, trying to force Payton up higher on the floor, not letting him get down so low.
Pippen looking for the steal. Here's Kemp. Kemp with the rebound and the bucket. So the follow by Detlef Schrempf. Pippen beating the Suns. And it counts. A foul committed by Hawkins.
Dennis Rodman so aware of what all is going on between those lines. As soon as Schrempf made that layup, he got the ball quickly out of the net and fired a perfect football touchdown pass to Scottie Pippen, who actually caught that thing with one hand and almost pounded for a second to gather himself and finish off that play.
Matt, compare that play and the fact that it took about 2 seconds to complete with Seattle's previous possession when they're dribbling the ball with Payton the whole time, maybe 20 dribbles, and then Detlef Schrempf having to get to the offensive glass to finally get a score.
And Pippen now 7 of 7 at the line. He has 14 points in all. Bulls have opened up an 8-point lead with 3 minutes gone by in the 3rd. Schrempf rebounded by Kukoc. And a foul on Payton. That is his 2nd.
And another poor possession by the Seattle SuperSonics, taking so long to get involved in their offense. With 7 seconds on the shot clock, finally Schrempf looked up and just launched a jumper.
Jordan for 3. And Kukoc calling for time. Well, he saves the possession, called for the 20-second timeout, but it's changed to a full timeout. It will be Chicago ball when we come back. Bulls by 8, 8:44 to go, 3rd quarter.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Jeep, makers of the new award-winning Jeep Grand Cherokee. By AT&T, Centennial Olympic Games partner. And by Reebok. Are you prepared to say, "This is my planet"?
We welcome you back to the United Center in Chicago with 8:44 to go in the 3rd quarter. Well, NBA Commissioner David Stern always likes to bring a favorite player to the game just to kind of shoot the breeze. He's picked a pretty fair athlete by the name of Bill Russell.
13 years, 11 championships for Bill Russell.
Let's check in with Hannah Storm. Hannah?
Mark, the Sonics will be without their all-time steals leader for the rest of this game and maybe the series. Nate McMillan telling me he's just in too much pain because of the back injury to go for the rest of the day. He's going to make a determination tomorrow whether or not he'll sit out the rest of the series. Mark?
All right, thank you, Hannah. Dennis Rodman with his first field goal. Bulls open up a 10-point lead, so Nate McMillan gave it a shot. Played 6 minutes in the first half, did not attempt a field goal. Payton with a pretty move going glass, and the Bulls now lead 64-56. George Karl was hopeful that Nate would be able to play through the bad back, but you just heard the report.
That's a major loss, and also with Bukowski already ejected, Pippen from downtown. Seattle is struggling right now and on the verge of being in serious trouble.
And Scottie Pippen with 17 points. Kemp draws the foul. biggest lead of the night being enjoyed here by the Chicago Bulls. Rodman called for his third, and Kemp to the line.
On the previous possession for Seattle, George Karl called a 1-4 for Gary Payton to let him operate in the middle of the floor. He senses that Gary is struggling when he gets to the wings because of the Bulls defense, and with that floor spread, Gary can get into the lane, create for himself or create for a teammate. To get back into this game, Seattle's going to have to do more of that.
Correction on that foul called. Ron Harper picks up number 4, so it was not Rodman. And Harper will sit down. Bill Wennington checking back in.
And again, Phil Jackson electing not to go much with Steve Kerr. Phil telling me beforehand that it's just tough to get a matchup that works for Chicago with Steve Kerr against this talented Seattle team.
Steve Kerr is so effective in the series against Orlando. Played only 7 minutes in the first half. Pippen for 3. And Payton wanted to run, but the Bulls got back. Payton pulls up for 3. Perkins, Trent able to save it. Perkins for 3. Jordan for 3. And back comes Perkins. 67-58, Chicago. Game 1 of the best of 7. Game 2 here in Chicago on Friday night. Oh, nice pass from Kemp. Payton had to give it up. Hawkins got the step, and he was perfect. Michael Jordan with a long look in the direction of Bennett Salvatore as he just was called for his 3rd foul.
Now Michael Jordan now has the assignment of guarding Gary Payton with Ron Harper sitting on the bench with 4 fouls. Everybody anticipated this matchup going both ways when you have the top scorer in the league in Michael Jordan and the defensive player of the year in Gary Payton, but they have not seen that much of each other so far.
And that the 5th team foul on the Bulls, so the Sonics at the line. It has been a foul-filled game, 30 called in all. In the first half, 22 in the second quarter, a quarter that also saw Frank Brickowski ejected, hit with consecutive technicals following a flagrant.
One of the ways, though, that Seattle can work their way back into this game is by getting to the foul line. They've only taken 10 or 11 foul shots in the game. This is not a team, Seattle, that's shown a great ability to come from far behind.
Nice pass from Kukoc. And Rodman has 5 points. Bulls lead by 9. 6.5 remaining in the 3rd. Battle between Kemp and Rodman down low. Stay right here, says Bennett Salvatore, as the foul is called. It's on Rodman. That is his 3rd.
And a good battle it was for a long stretch of time. Both players working very hard for position. And I think a good job of officiating, letting the big men bang around in there until finally the little touch foul is called.
Well, Kemp is now 9 of 11 at the line. This a Seattle team that went 64-18 in the regular season, best record in the West, winningest team in the history of the Sonics franchise. In the playoffs, beat Sacramento, then swept Houston in 4, beat Utah, that terrific 7-game series. And for the Sonics, their first trip to the NBA Finals since they won the championship back in 1979, a team that featured Gus Williams and Dennis Johnson and Jack Sikma, Fred Downtown Brown, Paul Silas, team coached by Lenny Wilkins, it seems, in a previous life. Kukoc off the good lead pass, and the Bulls now lead by 9.
Beautiful feed by Dennis Rodman on penetration. He is becoming an offensive force again.
Payton trying to do it off the dribble against Pippen. Rodman goes down, and the foul on Kemp. That's his 4th.
Again, the size differential, the guy's guarding up over the top of Payton. He's unable to get anything done. And then so little creativity. Shawn Kemp throwing Rodman to the ground. Seattle not showing an ability to interestingly get the ball to Shawn Kemp in the low post area.
Here's Steve Kerr. This came on from Michael Jordan. Able to close the baseline on Kukoc. Mismatch with Pippen against Payton. And Payton able to get to it on the scramble.
The way that Chicago forces Seattle to make Payton give it up and have Kemp bring the ball up.
And a hack called on Pippen.
Well, that's one of the rare running opportunities for Seattle. The Chicago transition defense has been outstanding, but Gary Payton does not lead a lot of daylight. He can get into the lane, and that's when he can create for the Hersey Hawkins and the Detlef Schrempf and the Sam Perkins, but Payton has to get in the middle. This is an unusual substitution for Chicago with Michael Jordan going out midway through the third quarter. Normally, Michael will play that whole third quarter up until maybe 1 minute to go and get maybe a 3-minute rest surrounding between the third and fourth quarter. And I just wonder if Michael's a little bit winded and maybe that 9-day layoff now hitting him as far as the conditioning is concerned.
Jordan 6 of 15, 20 points in all. He had 12 of those 20 in the second quarter.
Mark, this is a real big gamble for George Karl right now, leaving Shawn Kemp in with 4 fouls. There is a ton of time left in this game. Shawn Kemp is very susceptible to picking up bundles of fouls.
Rodman 1-2 Kukoc up front. Pippen and Kerr in the backcourt. Kerr with the floater. And Schrempf rebounds. 4.5 remaining. Third quarter.
Gary Payton's giving the ball up too quick.
And Schrempf hits the three. So Detlef Schrempf, following the scoreless first half, has come on here in the third quarter.
And with Shawn Kemp guarding Dennis Rodman, you're not going to run an isolation or a post-up for Dennis Rodman, so there's not a chance for a foul there. But where Shawn Kemp picks up his fouls are those reach-ins and over the backs on the board.
Rodman, a wild shot by Rodman and a foul against the Sonics.
The SuperSonics personal foul, Gary.
Foul on Payton, that's his third.
Well, so much for Dennis Rodman not attacking Shawn Kemp. It just shows you how aware Dennis Rodman is. He normally doesn't even want the ball in the post, doesn't want to shoot the ball, but he knows that the man guarding him and a key player, Shawn Kemp, has 4 personal fouls.
Remember when Hannah was talking at the beginning about how Payton was going to guard Pippen? That was a classic example of the difficulties of that matchup. Oh, Payton had a strip and they called up top.
The SuperSonics personal foul, Sam Perkins, his third.
Foul on Perkins. That is his third, and now both teams over the foul limit. Scottie Pippen has been perfect at the line. Is back at the stripe, 7 for 7 from the free throw line.
And Mark, another example of the incredible folly of Zurkowski getting thrown out, because now they got nobody to come with. Seattle, they do have a good bench. It's 9 deep. They have 3 guys who don't really play Wingate a little bit. But now you got McMillan out. Now you got Zurkowski out. That makes it a 7-man bench. No size.
Bulls with a 72-67 lead. And left Schrempf feeling it here in the third quarter. Going at Scottie Pippen. And the rebound by Kemp on the tip draws the foul. It has been a parade to the free throw line of the second and third quarters. Dennis Rodman collects number 4.
Well, during the Utah series, when Shawn Kemp was getting into foul trouble early in that series, people were saying, you've got to cut down on your aggressiveness. You're getting in foul trouble. You're hurting your team. He said, I can't play that way. I'm not going to play that way. I play hard all the time and then let somebody else worry about the fouls. And we saw an example of it there, battling on the offensive glass, not worrying about adding 4 fouls, just playing hard.
Well, Kemp, a 74% free throw shooter during the regular season, 12 of 14 at the line. Remember, 10 of 11 in Game 7 against Utah. 3-point Chicago lead. They've led by as many as 11.
It's a real solid combination for Seattle right now.
Shot clock down to 4. Pippen. Well, the Bulls have hit a drought here in the closing minutes of the third quarter.
On the post play from the perimeter guys.
But Shawn Kemp able to hit over Dennis Rodman, and Kemp has taken over this quarter. He now has 28 points in all. He's won the Sonics within 1.
Shaky offensive lineup for Chicago right now. Pippen the only creator.
And Scottie Pippen knocks down the 3.
He created for himself.
Bulls by 4. Pippen with 21.
But what a terrible pass by Detlef Schrempf. It's so soft. Shawn Kemp waited 5 seconds for that play.
The foul on Rodman, so that is 5 on Dennis Rodman. With 2:32 remaining in the third quarter, a timeout is taken. It's the Bulls 75, the Sonics 71. Well, Dennis Rodman in trouble with 5 personal fouls, and he is upset. We've talked with Dennis about his intense desire.
Anyone has played with me know that my desire to win is higher than my desire to live in the game of basketball. I think that people know that I would put my life on the line to win a basketball game, put my life on the line to save an individual on this team with any cost. I think people know that on this team, and anybody's played with me. So the motion that I have to strive to be Dennis Rodman and to win a championship is not just for me, it's for the people that I'm playing with. I think it goes the same with Michael Jordan and Scottie. I think we really want to win a championship, not for ourselves, because I think we've been there. I think we want to win it for the other guys on the team, because they don't get the respect that we do.
Certainly the kind of guy you'd rather have on your team rather than on the other team. Dennis Rodman, though, unable to even perform right now, forced to the bench due to serious foul trouble. So much time left in this game, and critical players for both squads in foul difficulty.
And you look back at the regular season, Rodman fouled out only 1 time in the regular campaign, fouled out only 1 time earlier in the playoffs, sitting down now with 5, and the Bulls lead 75-73 after leading by as many as 11. But as we have been mentioning, Shawn Kemp also in foul difficulty. He is on the floor with 4. Here's Bushler. Nice lead pass, but he blew it.
And Mark, a very tough matchup for Shawn Kemp now against Tony Kukoc. Detlef Schrempf finding the range in the second half.
And the game is tied at 75. Schrempf with all 9 points in the third. Michael Jordan is back. Well, Michael Jordan sat down when it was 69-62 Chicago, and now he's given the Bulls a 77-75 lead. Nice ball movement by the Sonics. Perkins open. And Jordan appealing the call.
Well, Michael has been perimeter-minded all night. As soon as he realized the double team was going to come so quickly in that first quarter, and he just has too much quickness for Detlef Schrempf to keep him from getting into the lane.
Jordan felt that that ball was last touched by the Sonics. Rejection by Pippen. He was upset with that last call, but Pippen able to come up with the block. Bulls with the ball. They're up by 2 with a minute 25 remaining in the third quarter.
Now this is a mismatch here. Quickly get it out of his hands.
Bushler for 3. Kukoc with the save. Bushler was shot well during the playoffs, not shooting well here tonight. Wennington. Bill Wennington with his first field goal. And the Bulls now lead 79-75.
Seattle has stayed on top of the rebound battle.
Hawkins not able to hit from downtown.
But without Kemp with foul trouble, without Rikowski, they're in trouble now.
Shot clock at 7. Bushler's pass broken up. Judd Bushler having some tough moments coming into tonight. He had hit 6 of 8 from the field in the series against Orlando. And now a call being made by Bennett Salvatore, which surprised the Sonics.
23. We have a double technical foul.
A double technical on Michael Jordan and Gary Payton.
Action away from the ball.
Well, Gary Payton has been matched up a couple of times with Michael Jordan. Not right now, but he is trying to get up into the chest of Michael at every opportunity and making physical contact. And there, Jordan and Payton just swatting away at each other. And the offside official, Bennett Salvatore, spotted it.
That's just good aggressive basketball. All that contact down in the chest area, certainly within the realm of sportsmanship.
And Bushler strip. 20 seconds remaining in the third. Chicago lead down to 10 seconds. Schlep going one-on-one against Kukoc. And a foul call. So that will put Schlep at the line for 2. That's 3 on Kukoc.
Well, this is the versatility of Detlef Schrempf at the offensive end of the floor. He can go inside and post up effectively, or when he has a slower-footed defender, as he did this time, Tony Kukoc on him, trying to spread the floor, and with the shot clock winding down and the quarter clock winding down, trying to get by him and get to the basket, able to cause contact and a foul.
Steve Kerr checking back in. And the rookie from Michigan State, Eric Snow, who has seen very limited action, coming on here for the first time. So George Karl going deep into what is now a depleted bench with the departure of Frank Witkowski and Nate McMillan not available.
And they're giving Gary Payton a very long rest right now. 7.8 seconds left in the third quarter. Gary Payton played all 24 minutes in that first half.
Eric Snow, a second-round pick of Milwaukee, and then traded to Seattle on the day of the draft. 2-point Chicago lead. Final seconds of the third. Bushler for 3. So Judd Bushler going 0 for 4 in the third quarter. Shawn Kemp pivotal in leading the Sonics back. After 3, the Bulls 79, Sonics 77. Kemp with 30 points in all. They've come from 11 down, trailing by only 2 as we head to the fourth. We'll be back after this from your local station. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
Well, for those of you with computers, you can go online right now on finals.com and interact with NBC's own Steve Snapper Jones. You can send Steve your questions and comments about tonight's game right now during the game and during every game for the rest of the finals. He'll be providing game commentary, answering as many of your questions as possible. Apparently, the NBA Finals.com headquarters all the way upstairs. I would think it's an effort to keep Steve as far away as possible from Bill Walton.
I'm sure Steve is up there criticizing everything I've said tonight.
Oh, now, that's one point of view, isn't it?
Detlef Schrempf has worked his way back into this game with a terrific third quarter.
Oh, beautiful tip by Wennington to start the fourth quarter. The Bulls lead 81-77.
Phil Jackson desperately looking for some help from that bench, getting nothing from Steve Kerr and Judd Bushler, only Tony Kukoc, and now Bill Wennington with 4 points.
Gary Payton. And a loose ball foul. Foul on the Sonics. It is on Askew. That is his third.
Kukoc forces a shot over 2 guys, but that just opens up. That's Chicago Bull basketball. You force a double team. If you don't double team, you get burned by the one guy. And here's one guy you have to double team.
Kukoc with a gorgeous move. Spinning his way, and it leads to a timeout. George Karl wants to talk it over.
double team. Detlef Schrempf unable to just do anything against Tony Kukoc, finally having his way at the basket.
Miller, where great taste runs in the family, brings you Miller Moments.
Tonight we go back 19 years. Blazers versus Sixers. Game 6 of the 1977 NBA Finals. That's Dr. J. Julius Erving taking it all the way for the slam. But it was the Blazers' big redhead, Bill Walton, who was the dominant figure. He led the Blazers to a 109-107 win. The Blazers winning their only NBA title as Blazer Mania ran wild. Bill, I know you got chills just looking at that footage.
I have to keep reminding Dr. J that we did win that series.
Right.
They always love to run the highlights of him throwing down the dunks, but the Blazers did win.
Several of the principals on hand. Julius said, let's play it again right now.
And I did make a shot in that series that was not a layup.
In recognition of that moment, the Miller Brewing Company will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. 24-second violation. And it should be pointed out that the big redhead was named Finals Most Valuable Player.
And deservedly so. And George Karl was telling me this morning he is more concerned about how his team is going to be able to score in the series. He feels that the defense will hold up. Well, at this particular time, both are failing him right now.
And Hannah's been reporting regularly during those timeouts how George Karl has just been lambasting his team for their lack of aggressiveness and assertiveness. They're not competing right now.
And with all those things going wrong for Seattle, they only trail by 6 points, still well in the hunt.
Kukoc. A three for Tony Kukoc, who has had a big game off the bench. He now has 11.
Seattle's got some real serious matchup problems. Detlef Schrempf can't guard anybody, and Shawn Kemp cannot guard Tony Kukoc on the perimeter.
Perkins for three. But the Sonics hang in, down by 6. 9.5 remaining. In the fourth quarter, Schrempf getting set to make his return. Seattle had missed its previous 5 shots before that jumper by Perkins. Kukoc. A potential 4-point play.
Well, Hannah Stormer told us in the last timeout that George Karl warned his team Michael Jordan is going to take over. Well, right now, it's Tony Kukoc taking over. 2 3-pointers, and a little while ago, a beautiful move inside, but Tony Kukoc is feeling it. His jumper has been absent throughout the whole playoff. 3 for 36 coming into this one, and maybe this 9-day layoff, Tony Kukoc found his jumper.
A 4-point play for Kukoc. And the Bulls now lead by 10.
And Chicago continues to make it so difficult for Payton and Seattle to get into anything early in their offense.
Michael Jordan battling to come up with the rebound. 3 minutes gone by in the fourth.
Looks like the Bulls want to get the ball to Kukoc, the man with the hot hands.
Well, Jordan tried to get it down low, intended for Pippen. Here is Kemp. Shawn Kemp, 9 of 12 from the field. He has 32 points. 8-point Chicago lead. Longley getting position on Perkins. Shot clock down to 5. Longley. Harper with a nice rebound.
Seattle standing around watching.
Oh, nice play by Payton, and he's fouled by Pippen. That is 2 on Pippen. Chicago on Friday night. Perkins with the single. Look out. And Sam landing in our lap. I thought I made a pretty good save on that one.
I thought you were heading for the 5th row.
No, that was my way of protecting Sam Perkins. Here's another look.
Gary Payton is unable to create inside in all the earlier.
More importantly, watch this, Bill.
Marv Albert standing right up there and
I think he was
saving
leaving.
Matt Kukas.
He was leaving the building.
With the crowd looking for the foul on Kemp. And that will put Kukoc back at the line. So the Bulls with a 90-82 lead. And Tony Kukoc at the free throw line. Kukoc with 9 of his 15 in the 4th quarter. The Chicago Bulls going 72-10 in the regular season, best record in the history of the NBA in the playoffs. They swept Miami in 3, beat the Knicks in 5 in a tough series, swept Orlando in 4, and now gunning for their 4th NBA title in 6 seasons. But a long way to go. This is only game number 1. The steal by Hawker. The Sonics call for time.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Oldsmobile, by Prudential. Live well, make a plan, be your own rock. And by New Miller Beer, the brand new beer from Miller with big flavor that goes down easy.
Back in Chicago, Marv Albert, Matt Kukas, Bill Walton, Rod Rashad, Hannah Storm, Gary Payton with a quiet ball game. Michael Jordan, a quiet second half. Look at the overall numbers.
Well, Gary Payton has to wear 3 hats for this Seattle team. He has to score himself, he has to create for his teammates, and he has to be the catalyst defensively, and he really hasn't done the defensive job so far in this one.
What he has to do most of all is get some offense going for himself and put some pressure on this Chicago Bulls defense. Careless play once again by Seattle.
And Pippen with the steal. Bulls with a 93-82 lead, breaking it open once again here in the 4th quarter. Luke Longley rebounded by Scottie Pippen. Pippen with 3 steals. We saw the numbers on Michael Jordan has been quiet in the second half. Kukoc and Harper keeps it alive. But the rest of the Bulls have done it. Scottie Pippen has turned it around in the second half. Tony Kukoc with a terrific job off the bench. Perkins stealing from Jordan. And you know, although Sam does not show it, that's one of his career highlights.
We'll never let him forget that.
Oh, that's one that will be shown time and time again. Nice move. Gary Payton with 9 points, and the Bulls now lead 93-84.
And that's the post move that Gary Payton was so successful against John Stockton and the Utah Jazz, but against the taller guards of Chicago, unable to get down there as much as I'm sure he'd like to.
Just under 6 minutes remaining in the 4th. Oh, picked off by Kemp, and here's Payton. Well, Longley had that pass telegraphed, and Phil Jackson is very upset.
Well, Chicago has been so sharp with the basketball throughout this ballgame, taking care of it. 6'11", Sam Perkins taking it away from the best player on the planet, Michael Jordan. And there's that post move by Gary Payton, and then Luke Longley just throwing a terrible pass as Gary Payton will finish off this play from Shawn Kemp.
45-year-old George Karl, the head coach of the Seattle Sonics, 4th full season as the head man of Seattle. Friday in prime time at 9 p.m. Eastern. It'll be game 2 of the NBA Finals. We'll be back here at the United Center as the Sonics go up against the Bulls once again. That'll be Friday at 9 Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on NBC.
Michael Jordan very quiet in the second half. Only 4 of his 22 points coming in this second half.
Open look for Harper, gave it up. Dennis Rodman back on the floor playing with 5 fouls. But the Bulls now lead 95-86.
And we see that special ball movement that the Bulls have been so noted for all season. Kukoc and Rodman, and vice versa. Everybody getting involved right now. Gary Payton just can't finish at the basket area. Too much size, too much athletic ability for Chicago.
Kukoc from Jordan. 18 for Tony Kukoc.
And that's a big reason why Michael has not had to assert himself offensively. Tony Kukoc has picked it up.
12 of his 18 here in the fourth. Harper has had an outstanding night with the steal. And again, George Karl wants to talk it over.
Michael Jordan in transition, finding his teammates who are all running the floor. Big men just out hustling the Sonics right now. And then Harper has been in the passing lanes all night long. No answer for Seattle. They're forced to the bench again.
We said at the start it was important for Shawn Kemp and Michael Jordan to get their respective teams off to a good start, and they did just that. Kemp led the Sonics with 18 first-half points. In a close battle, Jordan had 18 of his own, and the Bulls led by 5 at the half. Third quarter, more Kemp, 12 more points for game-high 30 after 3, but in the fourth, Ron Harper and Tony Kukoc combining. Ron Harper with a terrific game. 15 points, 7 assists, and Tony Kukoc with 12 of his 18 in the fourth.
One of the toughest things for Seattle is that they don't move when they don't have the ball.
Last touch by Longley, trying to save it. Well, the Bulls have taken over in the fourth quarter. They have outscored Seattle 20-9, and Jordan and Pippen have not scored here in the fourth quarter. Chicago 8 of 12 from the field in this fourth quarter, and the foul on Pippen, his third.
No, Michael Jordan is going to do what he has to do. In the first half, as his teammates were a little slow to get involved, other than Luke Longley and Scottie Pippen, Michael carried the ball. Here in the second half, with Kukoc taking care of things and Ron Harper having a sparkling game, Michael is just standing by if needed.
Hawkins, and Kemp gets it back. Now Kemp from deep. Jordan with the rebound.
Well, the scary thing for Seattle is that Jordan, after a relatively quiet game, that's usually when he comes back and plays his absolute best. Remember, after a quiet game 3 against Orlando, comes back with 45 in the closer.
Oh, nice move by Luke Longley. 14. That is a playoff career high. Crowd reacting. It'll be 19 on the shot clock for Seattle.
Longley gets a good block, but Gary Payton gives up the ball too early, hangs his teammates out to dry.
Charge called on Payton. That's his fourth, and it's all going wrong now for the Sonics.
Well, Seattle with 10 turnovers in the first half started to take better care of the ball throughout the third quarter, but now a rash of turnovers for Seattle.
Well, so much for the 9-day layoff and the concerns of Phil Jackson and the Chicago Bulls. They have their biggest lead of the night. They're up by 15. Just under 3 remaining. Fourth quarter. Open shot for Hopper, but came up with air. And here is Payton. So the Bulls now lead 101-88.
Very difficult for Seattle to come back against this kind of lead. They don't have really anybody right now who's able to take the game over completely. Now, Shawn Kemp has been hot throughout, but they haven't been able to capitalize on that. And Gary Payton has struggled offensively.
Michael Jordan with a high arcing jump shot, and that had something to say to the Seattle bench.
Looked right down at Vince and asked, he said, "I'm pretty good."
Yes. And we are down to 2 minutes remaining in the fourth.
Scottie Pippen has had an outstanding game. Not gigantic numbers in their area. Terrific defense on Detlef Schrempf, clogging the lane, making the plays when needed. A solid performance from Scottie Pippen.
Longley. Oh, look out. Rodman just went down. Joe Crawford taking a long look. Here's another look at it.
A totally unnecessary play. All of them hooked up there. Frustration by Shawn Kemp. Just let that one go. You got to play above the antics of Dennis Rodman, who incites that type of behavior. And loves it all the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, I think Shawn Kemp pushed him on his wrist. And he went sprawling like the building fell on him.
Saw the final numbers on Kemp. 32 points, 9 of 14 shooting, 7 rebounds in 40 minutes. Oh, look out. Hopper and Payton. And the collision, Payton was going for the steal. That's 5 on Payton.
Gary Payton shooting the gap on the weak side. A violent collision. These are two of the toughest guys you'll ever come across. Fortunately, they're both okay. One of the biggest questions for George Karl is going to be, who's he going to have Detlef Schrempf guard for the rest of this series? Because they have attacked his man every time.
Jordan. And he'll go to the line.
Well, Michael, I'm sure, will say he was totally unimpressed with the strategy of Schrempf doing the guarding of Michael and then the double team, because he just quickly realized that he was just going to move outside, and that would negate a lot of the double teaming and spread the floor for himself, where he could drive, take his jump shots, get others involved as he did in this second half.
And then when they did switch, when Seattle did switch a smaller guy, Michael just swung right into the low post and punished him down there. That's that versatility of Jordan and the Bulls offense, which is brilliant at picking out where the advantage is.
26 for Jordan, along with 7 rebounds. And the Bulls have opened up a 105-88 lead as we come up on 1 minute remaining in the fourth quarter. So an impressive start for the Chicago Bulls. Foul is called. Schrempf took the hit. An impressive start. Some concern, and it was genuine concern on the part of the Bulls that the long layoff could have an effect. Phil Jackson with the victory smile at this point. The Bulls last played in that fourth and final game against Orlando on May the 27th. They were getting sick of going against each other in practice.
And Phil did tell us yesterday that the two players that the layoff might possibly help was Scottie Pippen, who has an assortment of bumps and bruises, and Ron Harper, who has a bad knee and had to have that knee drained during that week, and he has responded beautifully.
It certainly helped Luke Longley, but this Chicago Bulls team is so special. When you got guys like Jordan and Rodman who just have such a killer instinct out there, the practices become so competitive, and then the genius of Phil Jackson that keeps everybody sharp all the time.
Shot clock at 5, 40 seconds remaining in the game. Jordan, yes, in dramatic fashion.
That's just an impossible matchup for Detlef Schrempf, who doesn't have the foot speed to challenge Jordan.
Askew. That was a three-point attempt. We are down to 25 seconds remaining. Looks like Pippen got a piece of it. And the Bulls now hearing it from the crowd. They're on their feet at the United Center. Michael Jordan with 28 points. Scottie Pippen with 21. Tony Kukoc with 18. Ron Harper 15. Luke Longley 14. Shawn Kemp leading the Sonics with 32. And the Bulls have won Game 1